it's a plot to drop the IQ. Fighting amongst each other over rumors that don't like you. Prefer us trapped in melancholy with the wood ones of holly. Suggestions that obliterate to camouflage the folly. Attempted mental robbery, executed sloppily. The poppers see this mockery and walk the talk with me. Put the hands up to touch the Akasha, cause you know deep down there's something bigger than your wallet.
Sweet eternal balance of all that is good, true, and beautiful, friends. Welcome to Rogue Ways once again for this very special episode with the man himself, Max Igan. Max is a spiritual warrior, an artist of subversion, a sentinel on the watchtower, and a well of wisdom for our weary world. And he's here to share some perspective and depth with us tonight. Max, thank you so much for coming back to Rogue Ways.
A pleasure to be here, darling. Thanks for asking me on again. It's always nice to come and talk to you.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure to have. It's my honor to have you here. Before we get started, I want to remind everybody, all my lovely listeners out there, that you can now purchase some pretty badass Rogue Ways gear on the site at rogueways.org. I'm pretty in love with it. I ordered some for myself, so go check that out. And you also see all kinds of writing and art and my tarot readings that I offer to people. And I was just reminded today as I offered a tarot reading to a woman, and it was even just a short 4-card reading, and even that was very powerful and transformative. So I just feel very grateful to offer that service. So if you're someone who is seeking some clarity on something, and that could be an option for you. So check that out on the site as well. And as always, thank you so much to people for donating to support the show through PayPal at paypal.me/Corey Sharman. That's QUORRISCHARMYN. That's my pen name that I write under. That really helps keep the show going. I don't make any money off of this otherwise. I just do it because I love it. So I do rely on just donations in lieu of subscriptions and all of that. So thank you so much for people who are donating there. I really appreciate that. And I love you all, and thank you so much for being here tonight with us. I see Steve in the chat. I see Trey Clark. I see Digital Aberration and Lloyd TC Bear. Thanks for being here, you guys. And so we'll get started. Max, you know we like to start with the pointless question of the episode. And tonight I was going to ask you, what is your favorite way to reconnect with yourself when you've sort of fallen out of touch or gotten kind of frazzled by the world?
I actually use a jungle medicine called rapé for that sort of thing, meditation and rapé. I like to have some rapé, and then I will sit with myself, and that usually grounds me pretty well. I use rapé quite a lot. I find it helps. But it's just meditation. I mean, I live in a beautiful place. I live in a rainforest. So, I mean, really all I've got to do is walk outside.
That's lovely. How do you spell that?
Rapé, it's actually spelled rape. It's spelled R-A-P-E with a little hyphen over the E, but it's pronounced half with an H. So it's rapé. Sometimes it's spelled hape, just with an H. Okay. You could look it up as shamanic snuff. It's type of a mupacha tobacco and ash mixed together. It's one of the sacred ways to use mupacha tobacco.
Wow, I've never heard of that. Thank you for sharing that. That's pretty cool. Well, I wanted to just jump right into it. And if you could, I don't know how many people listening or watching are aware of the fires that are happening in Australia right now, but they sound pretty horrific. And I know you're there in the middle of it. So if you want to tell us your understanding of kind of what's happening down there, and I mean, it seems like you're okay for now at least, but maybe give us the rundown on your understanding of things.
Yeah, look, I'm okay for now. There's no fires where I am, but there's also no water where I am. All the creeks have dried. And really looking at the size and scope of the fires and the progression of the fires, you know, even looking at this place, it's not a matter of when the fires get here, or it's not a matter of if the fires get here, it's a matter of when the fires get here. Because there's no water. There's no water anywhere in the creeks. All the creeks have dried. They've been pumping a lot of water out of the aquifers, out of the Great Artesian Basin, selling it to companies in China and Canada. And they basically dried the country out. There's no water left for the people of Australia. Mm-hmm. Sydney's set to run out of water in about 2 years. And like these creeks out the front of my house here, these are spring-fed creeks. I've lived here for 60 years. These creeks have never stopped flowing. They don't stop flowing. They're spring-fed. Wow. But all of the creeks in the whole east coast have stopped flowing. Some of the great rivers have stopped flowing. The Maclean River down near Kempsey, I've just been told, has stopped flowing. This is a huge river system. Wow. The Murray-Darling Basin has stopped flowing. it's horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. I've noticed all the insects are pretty well gone. Most of the frogs are gone. Most of the peacocks are gone. The bird calls in the morning have dropped down to about a quarter of what they should be.
Wow.
It's getting very, very cold at night here as well, like
Hmm.
unusually cold. It's extremely hot days and quite cold at night, the way it does in a desert when the ground dries out, So Australia's in a very, very bad situation. And the research I've been doing, I've been looking at the aerial spraying, the geoengineering. I've figured out that what they're actually spraying us with is essentially sparkler dust.
Yeah.
Barium, strontium, and aluminium. This is what's in sparklers that you put on birthday cakes and use it on fireworks night. And this is what they've sprayed our countries with. This is why the fires are burning so bright. This is why they're so out of control. Same as in California in some of the fires you've had there. This is why they're burning so intensely. And the firemen are saying we haven't seen anything like this. We've got reports of self-actuating fireballs, which would be the result of aluminium. Aluminium will do that. You could throw a whole bunch of aluminium into a furnace and you'll see little fireballs form. You can throw aluminium into just a fire pit and you'll see little fireballs form. So when you can imagine this stuff's been sprayed in the sky, it's come down with the rain and it's soaked into everything. And we're seeing grapevines burning, lush green grapevines. A whole grape field in South Australia burnt in 30 minutes. The whole vines burnt in 30 minutes. They said they've never seen a fire like it. We've got evergreen trees that are burning. I've got photographs of the cliffs in the Blue Mountains burning. People saying patches of ground where there's not even hardly any grass on it is burning. And then 3 weeks later, it's springing up again and still burning because the ground's staying hot because of all of the aluminium that's been sprayed everywhere.
Yeah, all the accelerant that's saturated into it.
Yeah, this has all been done by design. It's a very, very bad situation. And, in the face of it all, we've got the Sydney fireworks display still going on this year. I can't believe it.
That's crazy.
There's someone posted a video. He lives 3 kilometres from where they're holding the fireworks display. It's tinder dry, the whole place. All you need is one of those fireworks to go down.
Yeah.
A couple of sparks to go down.
Well, and a cinder can go for like 2 miles, I think, in the air, or more maybe.
It's crazy. There was
crazy.
A guy saying that his ground is so dry out on his property, just 3 kilometres from where they're holding the fireworks, that a couple of days ago, someone had a roller door fall off the back of the truck, a tin roller door, and the sparks started a fire on the side of the road. He managed to put one out, but they had to call the fire department to contain the other 2. And this is from a tin door falling off a back of a truck.
Wow.
So that's how dangerous the situation is. The whole concept of them spending how many millions they're spending on this fireworks display while they're pulling water away from the fire department, away from the fires. I just got an email from someone up in Queensland who told me that just this week they've closed the local fire station. They've closed it, and they're in the middle of the scrub, in the middle of the bush, and the council's just come along and said, "No, we're pulling funding from the fire station." It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's like they've designed this all to kind of.
Oh, they've planned the whole thing. It's designed to happen. They've made it. They haven't burned off for 4 or 5 years. They've created the environment for the perfect storm to come through, the perfect firestorm to come through, and decimate this country. It's burning from the desert to the ocean in some places in this country. It's like nothing we've ever seen, and it's horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. So much wildlife has gone. About 30 to 40% of the koalas in New South Wales are now gone, estimated at least.
No.
And it's like the scorched earth policy. They're making it so it's impossible to get out of the cities and forage anywhere because everything's going to be dead. You're not going to be able to find any food. Agenda 21. The same thing, push us all into the cities. Even council plans that I've seen come out, I got leaked a council plan for the 2017 to 2040, and it's all about sustainable development and about moving people away from dangerous areas and into the safe zones of the city. It's all Agenda 21.
The cities are safe.
They're burning people out of the country.
Wow.
And and in another 5 years, you won't even be able to afford to live where I'm living because you won't be able to afford the insurance on the property. Because it'll be a fire zone. That's the way they're playing it, and it's all been done by design.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you were saying, the perfect storm. They've thought of everything, and if you can't get water because they've sucked it all out of the ground. Because I feel like the water shortages in some ways are a hoax almost, because there's this source water that never stops flowing. But if you're not there at that source, then it is not a hoax. You are deprived of water because they have sold it off to all these corporations. And that's your birthright by living on this planet, is that this water is yours, but they just siphon it away. And that fireworks thing is blowing my mind. Do people in the city not understand? Are they not calling for an end to the fireworks because of this? They just don't care, or what's happening?
There's been there's been something like 130,000 or 300,000 signatures on a petition for them not to do the fireworks this year in Sydney. They're saying, "Oh, it's all paid for. It generates too much revenue. We'll get $130 million income to Sydney from having the fireworks." Probably costs $10 million or $1 million to put them on. You could put all that money towards the fireys and towards fighting the fires instead of closing fire station.
Wow.
It's just an insult.
Yeah.
They say, "Oh, it's already paid for." Well, okay, we'll just pull them all down, and then you'll save money on next year's fireworks, won't you?
Right.
The whole concept that it's already paid for, we can't stop it now, is completely ridiculous.
That's garbage. Absolutely. Yeah,
that's money for next year. You would really send a message to the people that you actually care if you cancelled these fireworks. But going ahead, I mean, you're likely to set half of Sydney on fire. So, it's disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful.
And it obviously gives the lie to the idea that we have kind of control of our government, or that it really is a government for the people if we can't even stop a fireworks display. It's like the least important sort of aspect of government, you would think, but here it is, unstoppable, apparently.
Interesting that in the Australian capital, Canberra, they've cancelled this year's fireworks display because there's a total fire ban in the state. So there's a total fire ban in New South Wales as well, but the government's still running the fireworks display in Sydney.
And isn't Canberra, aside from being the capital, isn't it also a very strangely designed, almost like occult sort of city in general?
Oh yeah, it's very Masonic. You've got the whole all-seeing eye pyramid. Interesting though, the pyramid is attached. The capstone is attached to the pyramid in Australia.
Huh.
I would suggest that the Australian Parliament House is one of the headquarters of the new world that they wish to build.
I think so,
because it makes sense as well. Australia being an island,
And isn't it? It's like Australia being a part of the Five Eyes or whatever with the United States and Britain, and I can't remember who else.
We have a lot go on through here. All the echelon tracking, all the data tracking, it all comes through Australia and New Zealand.
It's like they rolled it out there first.
All Five Eyes stuff. Yeah. It all goes through here. People think Australia is this little backwater, but no, this is you got Pine Gap here, which is the most important US base on Earth. That's the secret base. Everyone thinks everything happens at Area 51. No, that's a decoy. It all happens at Pine Gap.
I think that's true.
Pine Gap is the most secret base on Earth. You can only get within like 10 miles of it and get little distant photos of it. Everything's covered in those golf ball looking domes, and most of the base exists underground. You have a C-130 troop carrier arrive there every day full of supplies. You've got a whole American community there. They all drive left-hand drive cars and the whole lot. It's like the United States in the middle of Australia. And there's so much food and so much equipment shipped into that place, and all you got is half a dozen little buildings above ground, and it looks like just this little weather monitoring station or whatever.
That's what they say.
Like. But it's a very, very important base, Pine Gap. So we've got all sorts of stuff going on in this country. People don't realize how important it is in the whole global control grid. It's enormously important.
I think you're right. I think it's often overlooked, and I obviously don't even understand the significance of it, but I just kind of see those little pointers towards that over the years. And like you were saying, it seems like the sort of UN Agenda 2021 and 2030, all the different aspects of that are sort of like clinching in on you guys first. So you're feeling not only like the struggle of it, but also the almost feeling of disempowerment that, that there's nothing that you can really do about it. But I know that's not true. So what kinds of things are you suggesting for people to do, especially in regards to how serious it's getting?
Well, we need to, remove all support from this government straight away, and we need to put some attention into releasing the water. See, the real problem is that the water farming that's going on in this country. In the centre of Australia, you've got Chinese agribusinesses and Canadian agribusinesses and all this sort of stuff. And they're doing what is known as floodplain harvesting. They call it harvesting water from the floodplains. Really what they're doing is they're just building huge embankments on the floodplains. They go through, they clear all the trees, they build these huge embankments, and it stops the floodplain water getting into the river system. And then they use that water for agri-farming. So it basically destroys the river system downstream. Yeah. And then other water that they're pumping out of the Artesian Basin, pumping it down the Murray River and off into private dams. There's 20 or 30 private dams. that are being built out in the centre of the country as well. The government won't tell us where they are, very limited access to knowing where these dams are. And they've all been built using taxpayer money as well, all been taxpayer funded. But we don't get any of the water. And it's basically illegal to keep water from people. It's illegal to do what they're doing. And the problem we've got as well in this country is that this entire government is a corporate entity. It's been invalid since 1988 or 1986, whatever it was, since Bob Hawke introduced the Australia Act. And so all the legislation that they've used to sign these water rights over to foreign countries is all invalid because it's been all put in place by criminals masquerading as politicians in Canberra, if people really want to look at it. So what we need is a national strike. We need people to simply go and release the water, realise that it's their right to release the water. It doesn't matter what the legislation says. The legislation's all invalid. And we need to remove these criminals from power. What we're thinking of doing is organising a whole group of people and just doing a flash mob on Parliament House and just going there when there's no politicians there, going there with a bunch of cameras and just walking in there, taking over the House, sitting in their seats and setting up our own government.
Yes.
And then just things like water management and the corruption of the people that are in control of this building at the moment and all this sort of stuff, get it on video. Maybe it'll make the news and just show that the people can go in there and take control of the government ourselves. Because when this government has ceased to serve the people, when it's become a criminal entity as it has, it is the duty of the people to dissolve this government, to dismiss this government, and to simply go in and form new government.
Yes.
And I don't care what they say. It doesn't matter what they say. These people are criminals. If you support this government, you're supporting organised crime. If you pay your taxes to this government, you're supporting organised crime. If you do anything these people tell you to do, you're supporting organised crime. That's the attitude that the people need to have. This is a corrupt group of criminals, and we don't need to do what they say. We don't even need to petition them. We need to call them out for what they are, have them arrested, put in jail, and held accountable for their actions. That's what needs to happen in this country.
I absolutely love that plan because I love that, Buckminster Fuller, this is one of the things I repeat so often that probably half my listeners are like, yeah, we get it, whatever. But Buckminster Fuller would say you can't change the world by the systems that already exist. You have to create your own system. And so you're just going in and doing it and making that valid because enough people are part of it and want that. Then that's really all you need to do. And, people will call for violence, and I think that's what they want because they know what to do with violence. They know how to respond to people who are being violent. And that's why they send in agent provocateurs to cause violence in different scenarios, because they know how to handle it. But they don't know how to handle us just doing our own thing, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And it isn't like a protest. So we won't be marching down the street and subject to riot police or something. We're simply going to walk into Parliament House and take over the building and sit in all their chairs and pretend we're the government.
Yes.
You'll probably get the federal police arrive and want to throw us out and all that sort of stuff, but it's sure to make the news.
Right.
And if you get a bunch of non-violent, very eloquent, very informed, intelligent people in there engaging in intelligent, meaningful discourse,
yes,
then I think a lot of people are going to pay attention to this and say, well, hang on, these guys are actually making sense.
Yeah, we actually feel good about this.
Taking over the government, and why didn't we think of that, And we're going to suggest that people do it in every capital city, just go into the Parliament House and form your own government.
Yes.
It's just not going to have any legal value or anything. It's more of a publicity stunt, but it may get the attention of the people, and it may show the people that enough is enough. Time to stand up. Time to just simply go and do it. Don't ask permission. It's far easier to get forgiveness than permission.
Yes.
So just go and do it.
And I think it's very empowering to remind people that that's how. I mean, at the core of things, that's how government started. As I would like to think, at least, is just people realizing like, well, this is what we need. Let's organize ourselves and have structures for that. And that's still where we are, essentially, if we just do it. It's if we don't imagine it as this distant thing that's separate from us or that we're not good enough to do. Because that's the other thing. You look at these politicians and you're like, these are not the best people we have. These are just the people who were chosen by whoever because they're easy pawns or whatnot. But we are the best people that we have. We can do a better job than them,
It's incredible, isn't it, when you look at who we've got in our political parties and you think, really, is this the best we can do out of this pool of intelligence in this country? I mean, look at the United States and what you get, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton as your two choices. Are you serious? There's nobody else in the country that has any more intelligence than these people? Are people serious with this? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Look at the American system. Well, Boris Johnson, are you kidding? It's crazy, absolutely crazy. But that's what we've got, But, people, if they can think about that a little bit, and you can make it into a bit of a comedy show, And I try to make politics as comedic as possible when I talk about it. People ask me, who's the best president in the United States? I tell them, look, it doesn't matter. You could put a piece of toast in the president's chair and sit it there, put a little ketchup smiley face on it. It would do the same job as anybody you can put in there. It's a puppet show, the whole thing. So that's what people have to understand. If you can make it a little bit comical and realize that, what you need is people of intelligence, and the average, average garden variety pickpocket could do a better job than most of the politicians we've got in there at the moment. Then,
they have more sense.
It becomes, it becomes a bit of an awakening for people. So I think if we can do this, if we can stage an event like this and just kind of go in there and create a scene in Parliament House, the right sort of scene, I think it will make a difference. And that's the sort of stuff we're going to do. Just call it out. Enough is enough. This is a puppet show. It doesn't matter what these people say. They're all criminals anyway. It's a joke. All this pomp and ceremony and all this crap they go through, rubbish. Just speak your mind and speak it truly,
Right. Well, someone in the chat actually just had a really good point. I don't know if you're using DLive yet. Have you heard of DLive, and are you using it?
I have, but I don't really use it. I can't live stream DLive and stuff like that. DLive is only for live stream. It's not for uploading videos, and I can't generally live stream. I don't have the bandwidth. In
that moment, especially if they're trying to suppress, whatever action does occur, and you guys do go into Parliament and do that, if you do DLive, so far there's no censorship, and so that video has a chance of at least being up for 3 days, before it got suppressed. So there's one.
That's an idea. I'm sure someone going there will. But, I don't have. Where I live, I can't do that sort of stuff. I just don't have the bandwidth. Same with LBRY, that new video format. I can't use that either because I just don't have the bandwidth for it.
Yeah. Totally understand.
And I don't stream on YouTube because I don't have the bandwidth. Plus, you need to have cell phone ID to use to stream on YouTube, and I won't give them cell phone ID. So.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
You got to hook it up to a cell phone. They got to have your account hooked up to a cell phone to live stream on YouTube.
So that's an Australian thing?
Well, I don't know. I think it was just YouTube. I mean, whenever I've gone to live stream. Okay, well, you've got to. What I've found is that if you want to live stream on YouTube, you've got to link your account up to a cell phone.
Wow. Huh.
So,
so they're just getting further and further into limiting everyone to, you have to identify yourself in order to use a service, which is terrifying.
We're getting messages. People in New South Wales now are getting messages that they can download their driver's license onto their smartphone now. They don't have to go and pick it up. So you can put it on your smartphone. It's so much more convenient. When the police pull over, you can just hand the cop your smartphone.
And then they can just scan it and get all the rest of your data.
They can just punch in a code and download every single thing that you've ever done about you and know all your contacts and all your conversations and everywhere you've been for the last 7 years and everything. So
I have to say,
what a great option. Put it on your smartphone. You'd have to be a fool, wouldn't you? Honestly.
Well, they've done a really good job of creating a world of fools. I mean, I know there's a lot of us who see through it and don't like it and are working against it or whatnot, but there's a shit ton of people who are down for it and love it and think it's so convenient and great and don't question it. And I like to tell the story of a student I have who asked me, how she got a hold of the phone recordings. And I was like, what phone recordings are you talking about? She's like, how they record us all on the phone. How do I get a copy of that? And I was like, you want them to record you so that you have this convenient thing where you can go find your old recordings. And that really showed me that this is, they've done a good job of programming where people just...
It's crazy, isn't it?
Crazy.
It's crazy, They want, with the Facebook app as well. If people use the Facebook app on the phone, in the fine print it says that every time you take a photograph, it can record some audio with it, and it can turn your microphone on any time and listen to you.
Ugh.
So that if it hears you vacuuming the room, then it knows it can send you ads for vacuum cleaners and stuff like this.
Yeah.
So
it's
it
disgusting.
listens to you. Facebook app listens to everything you do. It's a surveillance app. You should not have. Even if you have a smartphone, you should not have the Facebook app on your phone. If you access Facebook, you should never do it from a phone. You should do it from a computer. That's the only way to have some degree of privacy. Use a VPN and do it from a computer. Never, ever access Facebook from a smartphone. If you do, then you are just buying into the whole surveillance grid, and you're giving the powers that believe they be access to every single aspect of your life, because Facebook will go through your phone. It won't just send you the Facebook stuff. It won't just send them the Facebook stuff. It'll send them everything you're doing.
It does. If
So,
you think about giving it access to even look in your files or your pictures for, whatever you might want to upload or share, then you're really just saying like you can have access to all that stuff. Which I've always assumed doesn't just mean it does it when you ask it to just look at this picture. It's just kind of going through and looking at whatever it wants. I'm at the point now where I've just assumed that we have no privacy, and not that I agree to that or consent to that, but that is just the way it is. Because I think they do what they want.
Yeah, well, they do. I just rock the boat as much as I can. They're making it harder and harder to
make it hard on them
without a smartphone and without a credit card.
Yes.
I mean, here in Australia, you can't pay your utilities bills, like your electricity bills anymore. You can't pay with cash. You have to use a credit card.
Wow.
I'm fortunate enough that I live in a private rental, and the guy who owns the place, I guess, pays the electricity bill. I just pay him. But
that seems...
in those situations where you have to pay with a credit card, I just simply say I can't. I've actually gone into restaurants that I know won't accept cash, but they have no sign up. And I'll go in there and I'll order a meal. I have like a $70 meal, and then I pull out cash.
You're like,
and they say, we can't accept that. And I say, oh, well, I guess I get it for free.
Yeah.
They go, well, no, you've got to pay with a credit card. And I just say, I don't own a credit card.
Yeah.
I don't have one. So
wow.
You'll have to pay with it with your credit card, and I'll give you $70 cash. How's that? Oh no, I can't do that. And I said, well, I'm leaving then. I've got an appointment.
Yep.
I'm leaving in 60 seconds. So either you accept my payment, or I get the meal for free.
I love that.
that's the choice I give them. I went into a supermarket in Amsterdam as well that I know is a cash-free supermarket. I got something like $160 worth of groceries in my trolley. Got them to check the whole lot through, and then went to pay for it, and they wouldn't accept my cash. And I had a whole rave there at the counter and said, oh my God, you don't accept cash? I didn't know that. I'm from Australia. I can't read your signs. And you mean you're only accepting credit card, but this is supporting the smart system, and this is supporting 5G, and this is an organic supermarket. And don't you know that 5G is going to change the cell structure of all the food that you're selling here, and you're not going to be able to sell organic food anymore? So if you're supporting a cash-free system and you're supporting the introduction of this 5G technology, then you're supporting the closure of this supermarket. Do you realize what you're doing? And it's a big rave at the counter, and all the people in the line behind me are all listening, very interested in what I was saying. So
good.
I'll go into places and I'll create little scenes like that.
Yeah.
Just message out to the people on the ground, And then it's a big inconvenience for them, because they've got this whole $160 worth of shopping in this trolley. They've got to go and put it all back on the shelves. And they've got to change their till because it didn't get paid for, and all this stuff. So it sticks in their mind,
Mm-hmm.
And it's just sort of a shock tactic that I do on the ground to try to wake people up, And then they ask me, oh, why don't you have a credit card? And I say, well, I don't support organised crime. And they look at you. I don't have a cell phone, I don't have a credit card, and I don't vote because I refuse to support organised crime. It's as simple as that. If you're using this system, you're supporting organised crime, whether you think you are or not. You are, and that's the message that I have for people. So it works too. I reach a lot of people that way.
Yes, yeah. I think especially as the shock of it is going to make people think and question, and I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think everyone wants to move closer and closer to sort of being independent from this system. I shouldn't say everyone, although most of the people listening want to become more and more independent so they can be less, because you're sharing your energy with that system, however you want to look at that. And that is not something that feels very good when you kind of see through to all the damage that it's doing around the world. And I do want to touch back on the fires, though, speaking of all the damage around the world, because I think that is a program that's being rolled out everywhere. And I want to draw attention to we have weather modification technology. We've had it for over 100 years. We know how to make it rain. We're really good at it, but we never make it rain on fires. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting, isn't it? They never make it rain on fires. I've got a couple of Doppler radar pictures here that I'm going to put in my next report as well that shows cloud banks, and it's almost a perfect circle.
Wow.
Out in the ocean around Sydney. It's just all the rain's just stopping, and it's all dry, and it's all raining just out at the ocean. It's hammering rain, but it just won't come into the shore, And it's all the Doppler radars. It's just all done by design. Weather modification is very, very real. People who think it isn't, they're mistaken. It is.
It's
all they've got to do is use electromagnetic set up high pressure systems, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
And it pushes the rain away. And they're very good at it. They know exactly what they're doing, and that's what they're doing to this country. This country is being burned deliberately, to set an example to the rest of the world is what happens if you ignore climate change.
Yes.
And it's all being presented as climate change.
Yes.
You suck all the water out of the country, dam it all up, dry the place out so it's tinder dry.
Spray it with accelerant.
Go 4 or 5 years without doing burn-offs. Then you spray the whole country with sparkler dust.
Yeah.
Then you set up the Doppler radars, push all the rain clouds away, and you've got the perfect storm.
Yeah.
they've done, and it's all been done by design. A lot of people are getting it, though. I've actually reached a lot of people with my last few videos, which has been really good. A lot of farmers are getting it. A lot of people out in the country know exactly what's going on. I'm getting emails from people now, and they're looking up saying, oh, yeah, I can see the spraying in the sky now. And they're realizing that it's not contrails.
Yeah.
It's aluminium oxide. It's sparkler dust. That's what they're spraying us with.
That's really heartening that people are waking up to it, because that's one of the things that I've always like. You can look at the sky and see a contrail going by, and at the same time a chemtrail being laid down, or whatever you want to call that, and they can't both exist at the same time if the explanation that we're given is true. So, it kind of gives the lie to the whole thing. So that's nice.
How anyone could think a contrail would spread out and cover the whole sky with a haze?
Yeah,
it's crazy. And why would anyone think that's a contrail? Ice particles. How do ice particles multiply and spread out across the sky on a hot day with the sun shining on them? It doesn't make sense. So if it persists, then it's not a contrail, because contrails are made of ice particles. It's as simple as that.
Right.
So it's whether people get it quick enough. What we need is for people to go and release the water. We need to get the word out to the degree that it actually reaches farmers in the center of the country that are near these private dams, and they take it upon themselves to go and release the water from these dams back into the river system. But even this needs to be done centrally. You can't just go and blow dams up.
Yeah.
Because if you blow dams, you'll cause floods, you'll cause all sorts of problems, you may cause property damage, you may even cause loss of life. So it's got to be done. There has to be a controlled release of this water back into the river systems.
That's a good point.
The floodplain harvesting, these banks need to be knocked down, allow the water to go from the floodplains back into the river system. We need to do this. This is the only way to stop these fires. Do this, shut down the Doppler radars, and go to Canberra and, I don't know, go and visit Parliament House. I'd like to go to visit that place and just build a gallows out the back. I think that would be a good thing to do.
Yes. It's performance art.
It's performance art. These people are guilty of treason, and treason is punishable by death. So,
that's true.
We need to get these people out of power. We need to get these people out of that building and hold them accountable, hold them responsible for the situation they've created in this country. And we need to take whatever steps we need to take to reverse this situation. That means the first step we need to do is release the water. It's against the law. It's illegal. It doesn't matter what people have signed, anything. It doesn't matter what anybody wrote on paper, because water is everybody's God-given right. Anybody who claims ownership of water needs to be removed from the equation. They can go live on Christmas Island, dig a well for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm absolutely with you. I think that's great. And I think it's like you're saying, there's a couple kind of paths of attack to take. And one is the reestablishing people as the government and as the power, and also waking people up to the multifaceted levels of control that have been implemented slowly over time, that have kind of taken control of everything now. Like you're saying, it's hard to even figure out like where to really start. If you just blow up a dam, people are going to die, but you do need to let the water out. So we have to figure out what steps to take, and people waking up to it is kind of the first step, I think, to that, getting everyone on the same page, hopefully, or enough people. But what do you think that there's any direct energy weapons being used in this equation of starting fires and keeping fires going in Australia and elsewhere?
Well, energy weapons or directed weapons in as much as the spraying of the sparkler dust and stuff, but I can't see any evidence of things like, beams coming from the sky or directed energy weapons being used here. I think they do this in some places, and then people will latch onto it and say, oh, it's all directed energy weapons. And that immediately, when the fire breaks out somewhere, they'll start using that term. And they haven't actually done the research, and they don't know. And that sort of stuff can be used at the moment in the newspapers here. Claims of directed energy weapons are being used to discredit people who are claiming that the fires are deliberate and it's Agenda 21.
Gotcha.
So that's what they'll do. They'll embellish the truth to the point that it becomes unbelievable. And all they got to do is use directed energy weapons, or like in say the Paradise fires.
Yes. And
now everyone's going to say, oh, it's all directed energy weapons. It's the way they've done with the hoax shootings.
Yeah.
All they had to do is stage something like the Boston bombing, which was a complete hoax.
Completely.
Totally staged. The amputee's leg falling off halfway to the ambulance, all sorts of shit. It was so staged and badly staged. Mm-hmm. So now everyone thinks all shootings are staged and they're all fake and there's no victim. So all they're going to do is do it once, and then people will apply that logic to every single event, and they will discredit themselves in doing so. And this was
Yeah.
the enormous trouble we had with Christchurch, with the Christchurch shooting. Because the Christchurch shooting, we got the government with their hands in the cookie jar. We got the extra players. We got a police car leaving halfway through the scene. We got so much on that video that we could have used to completely blow the official version out of the water.
Yeah.
But most of the so-called truth community was saying, oh, it's all fake, it's all a hoax. And
Yeah.
when I tried to explain what really happened, there was a smear campaign launched against me, you know, because I was saying, no, this isn't a hoax. This is actually a real gunman, and we've actually got the extra players on board. This is a gift. We've got them with their hands in the cookie jar. You know,
Yeah.
totally caught them with their hands in the cookie jar. Even a police car leaving halfway through the scene, a plainclothes police car that we've got on video being waved through a roadblock later that day. Got a guy in red running around the building directing him, and we got all sorts of stuff on that video. But no, it's all discounted, and it's all hoax, and there's no victims, and there's no blood, and there's no this, and there's no just tied it all up in rubbish. And so now they use that to discredit the so-called truth movement. And it's the same with the claims of directed energy weapons. This is what they've done. They've used it on a few occasions, and now that is the first thing they go to. And to be honest, I can't see any evidence of directed energy weapons being used here.
Yeah.
And this is Australia. You don't need directed energy weapons
Yeah,
here.
it's
All
like
you got to do is
Tinder.
have a piece of tin fall off the back of a truck.
Yeah.
You know, it's this place is that tinder dry that you know, the green trees are burning. It's ridiculous, you know. So you don't need directed energy weapons here. All you got to do is throw a cigarette butt out a car window. That's the conditions here. It's really, really bad. So people have to be careful with these claims, though, and they really do. I mean, they could be using them, but I can't see any evidence of it. And I think what we need to focus on is the fact that the place has been sprayed with fire accelerant.
Yes.
The water has been held from the people deliberately.
Yes.
It's been done by design. This illegal water farming and water harvesting is going on. This is what is causing these fires. And this is something we can prove. We can look at all this other stuff and all the conspiracy stuff later, but at the moment we've got to stick to what we can prove, because there are lives of millions of people at stake here, and I'm not joking.
Right.
This country is going to burn if people do not get it together and release this water and hold these criminals in Canberra accountable. This country is going to burn, and a lot of people are going to die. A lot of people won't make it through what's coming. And we've just entered summer now. This is just the beginning.
Wow.
What we've seen here is just the beginning.
Oh my God.
Summer's just started. You know, and we're not going to get any reprieve from this until April or May. So what's the country going to look like then? You know, and that's like I said earlier, I sit here in this lush green valley where I live, but there's no water in the creek, and I know where the fires are. And even with where I am, I can say it's not a matter of if the fires get here, it's a matter of when the fires get here and how dry this place will be by the time the fires do get here. You know, so, and I'm only 8 kilometres out of town, but you know, they don't want us here, they want us in town. You know? So it's a very, very serious and very, very severe situation we're facing here, Donald. I cannot understate it. It really cannot be understated.
Well, I've never experienced anything similar, but the closest I came was in the Northwest a few years ago of the United States. There was a bunch of fires in the sort of vicinity in the larger area, and all of the smoke was rolling in. And it's generally windy there, you know, from time to time. Like most days, there's at least a little breeze. And it was like not only was all this fire rolling in, this smoke rolling in, but there was no wind blowing it back out, and which was very strange. And so it just sat, and then it got heavier and thicker and heavier and thicker over the matter of a few weeks. And even that, so, you know, like, even if you're not near the fire, you can be affected. And I mean, people with asthma are going to be affected by that and possibly die. I was just going insane because it was hard to breathe and you can't see anything. And you know, so it's like, even if you were able to somehow stay out of the range of the fire, there's other ways that it will also destroy you. And the whole area.
Hazy around here. The area's quite hazy around here, depending on which way the wind's blowing, but not as bad as Sydney. Sydney's got something like 100 times worse air than Calcutta at the moment.
Jeez.
It's
and I'm sure they're stopping the wind from blowing it out too, which is the other part that drives me insane.
The wind's just blowing it straight over Sydney, straight across Sydney. I mean, it's horrendous, the conditions in Sydney. It's been like that for 2 or 3 months.
God.
You've got people having asthma, and just the whole place is covered in smoke. You can't see the sky. I haven't seen the sky in Sydney for 2 or 3 months. Haven't seen the sun properly. So yeah, that's what they're doing, and it's everywhere. And we get it here quite a lot. Like I said, depending on which way the winds are blowing. The nearest fires to me are probably about 20 miles away in a straight line. and it's not
That's
a
not far.
major fire, but it's pretty big. But the thing is, it's been burning for 2 or 3 months. It just won't go out.
Wow.
It's just this one patch of ground just burning. How can it burn? It's been burning for
Yeah.
months. Why is it burning for 2 or 3 months? So that's what we're facing. And there's people like that down near Sydney as well. They've said they've had a fire burning in their backyard for 3 months, and they don't know why it won't go out.
Fire needs fuel.
And while they're removing fire stations and removing fire services and removing funding from rural fire services and closing fire services down, the dear old Prime Minister announced that he's going to give $6,000, up to $6,000 to the fire service, to each fire they can make a claim for up to $6,000 in compensation and shit. Spending millions and millions of dollars on a fireworks display. I give these guys $6,000. They've been out there fighting the fires for 3 months, Unbelievable.
That's their life. Yeah.
No heart, no empathy, no conscience, no soul, these people. It's all about their agenda: scorch the earth, burn the country out, create these smart cities and turn the rest of the place into a mine.
Yes.
And sell what's left to China. China owns so much of this country now; it's ridiculous.
China's terrifying.
Water,
Yeah, China, I feel like, is the sort of what they want for everyone. We can look there and we can see what they want for everyone. We can see it starting to roll out in Australia, and we can see that they're going to let that slowly come out over the rest of the world as well, or maybe quickly. Who knows, if they just need the right disaster to roll something out, basically. But it's like this 1984. It's worse than 1984. I mean, you look at China and you really wonder, how could anyone ever even get out of that system? It's
1984 on steroids. It's a system you won't be able to escape from. It's like 1984 and Brave New World all rolled into one on steroids.
Yes.
That's what we're heading for if people don't refuse to comply with it. And that's all people have to do is refuse to comply. We could down tools and we could change this in one day if people simply stop what they're doing. Stop going to work, stop doing all this shit, turn and face the government and say, hey, what the hell is going on? Just get them to answer a few questions that they can't answer. So we could stop this in a day if people simply stop supporting the system. But even people in Sydney, they can see that they're choking on smoke. They're doing all this stuff. They're still getting up and going to work and doing this stuff and doing their jobs and doing all this stuff and running on the treadmill. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. And I wonder how many people are going to turn out for the fireworks display.
Yeah.
I hope nobody goes. I would love to see the entire bay empty of boats. I'd love to see everybody boycott Sydney. Do not go to this fireworks display. It is a joke. It is a travesty. It is an insult.
Yeah.
And people should boycott it completely. I've been posting on the Prime Minister's page, and I've been posting on the Mayor of Sydney's page, I've been posting like hashtag arrest Scott Morrison for treason on everything that I post lately.
Yeah.
And I've been posting it all on the Prime Minister's page, going onto all of his threads, and I've been posting it all on his threads. Same as the Mayor of Sydney. I've been showing them, look, Canberra's stopping the fireworks display. How come you're not stopping the fireworks display? Canberra isn't on fire. The outskirts of Sydney's on fire, and you're running a fireworks display. Are you capable of getting through a normal day without help? I mean, have you got any degree of at all?
Absolutely.
So, that's the sort of posts I've been doing. I've been really hammering these people.
Yeah.
And spreading the word as much as I can. We've got to realize that this is the end game. This is the end game. This is the beginning of this whole smart system they want to roll out.
Yep.
And it's all been done by design. These fires are not normal. They're not natural. This country's been deliberately burnt, and people need to wake up to it. Yes,
and all in service of this agenda, all in service of this climate change narrative that's patently untrue. Yeah, and it's really depressing.
Man-made climate change is happening, but it's happening because we're geoengineering it to happen. It's not happening because of the reasons that they're giving us,
Absolutely.
And with the coming solar minimums as well, I think this is something people need to be looking at, because with this scorched earth policy, there'll be nowhere to go and forage or hide or get fuel or anything to protect yourself from the coming solar minimums. They're setting it up to have as many people wiped out as possible through the coming years, I think.
Yeah.
That's really what appears to be happening. The solar minimums, no one's talking about this, but all the stuff that we've had here, grab bags. We can go and, when it all turns pear-shaped, we can at least grab a bow and arrow and a grab bag and walk out into the forest. There's no water there, and there's no forest there.
Yeah.
You can't do that. That's the thing. So they're taking that option from us. This changes everything. You never really expected the springs to stop flowing.
Right.
I didn't see that coming.
No.
Rains and whatever, yeah, but the springs to not flow. This is unprecedented. This is something we've never seen here in this country. So, and people don't realise the seriousness of it. They
Yeah.
really don't. So, we're heading for interesting times, darling. I've got a nice compound bow over there, so
Yeah.
when all does go pear-shaped, I'll be heading to the hills anyway. But
That's a smart thing to have, some skills and some tools and some
I'm pretty
hardy
good with it,
clothing.
too. I'm pretty good. I can hit a bullseye from 30 yards with the bow, so
Wow, that is really good.
I'm pretty good with it. I've done a bit of practice, so yeah, that'll be my protection, I guess. But it's even weird having to think about that sort of stuff, But we're really getting into a position now where it's going to be a blackened country, and the cities that are really all that's going to be left if we don't pay attention. They're going through pulling a lot of trees down after the fire as well. It's really bizarre that they're chopping trees down in certain areas, saying, "Oh, they're a fire hazard if we leave them here." Well, the fire's just gone through.
Yeah.
You left all the fuel there before the fire, and now you're chopping down whatever's survived.
That's
How
very
does the forest
strange.
come back if you do that?
Wow.
So and I even look at Australia as well. I look at it. It's a huge desert, Australia. It's the driest country on earth. But if you look all around it, look at the maps around it, look at Indonesia, look at the rainforest. It's only 70 miles from North Queensland,
Yeah.
Papua New Guinea and all this. And you look at the rainforest that exists in Tasmania as well. Why is the centre of the country the desert like this? I think this used to be a garden. I think this used to be a rainforest, this entire country, not too long ago. I think this was one of the most important countries, which is why they decimated it so completely. But I don't think this desert's natural in Australia at all, because there's no desert anywhere around us. Look at everywhere on similar latitudes. Look at South America on the same latitude as us, and look at Africa on the same latitude as us.
Right, it's lush.
Look at like I said, all the countries around it. Indonesia, massive rainforest. You've got little sections out in the center of the country, like at Mataranka, where there's springs there. And the rainforest there is incredible. It's like almost prehistoric looking rainforest in the center of the country, just these little patches of it. And I think that's what the whole country used to be like, and not really too long ago,
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone's familiar with my work knows that I'm completely sus on history. I think history's been fabricated. I don't believe a word they tell us about history, because I've traveled too much. And I don't believe a word. I think we lived in a very, very different world 200 years ago, as recently as 200 years ago.
Yeah.
I think that this country has been deliberately desertified or desiccated or whatever you can call it. But this desert has been created, and it isn't a natural thing.
Do you know if the Aboriginals there have any wisdom on that topic? Like, do they have any indication that they have that in their memory, or do you know anything about that?
There's 3 true elders that I know of that exist out near the centre of the country, who still speak parts of Hungarian in their language, Magyar. Most of the Australian Aboriginals spoke a derivation of Magyar, which is the root language of Hungarian when they first arrived when we were first here. There were 30 nations here when the British arrived, and they were speaking all different dialects of Magyar. There are 3 elders that know about that, but as far as the rest, the Aboriginal people in this country have been brutalized, and the stolen generation, people got moved around, taken from their parents and put in with white families, and all the law's been lost. Even the elders you can find around here, you can only get them back so far, even in their creation myths. They'll go back so far, and then they'll get to the Trinity, Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, and you go, well, hang on, this isn't part of Aboriginal teachings. And they go, oh yeah, but we were wrong. We didn't know about the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost back then. So now we know this. And you go, no, but I want to know the other stuff. And they go, well, it wasn't taught to me, because we found out about the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost then. So
that's
they didn't
tragic.
teach me that other knowledge. So the knowledge has been lost. You see what I mean? And a lot of the elders in the area here, they've been brutalized by this system so much and kept downtrodden for so much that you don't even know who the elders are, and everybody wants to be the elder because they think that if you're the elder, then you're going to get the government bonus, you're going to get the paycheck from the government, and you're going to have money to be able to do whatever, so it's all about the paycheck at the end. This is the mentality that's been put into a lot of them. And I've sat down, I spent almost a year, the best part of a year, sitting down in circles of Aboriginal elders, trying to get them to agree on something. And I couldn't. It just, and it's in a circle. You've got to do it with the talking stick, and everyone wants to talk, and everyone wants to talk for like 30 minutes, and they talk slowly, and it takes them 30 minutes to say what they could say in two. And you've got to go through all this, and you've got to spend like days sitting in these circles with, and you spend a day there, and there's like an hour of 2 hours of meaningful conversation over the whole day. And this goes on for months and months. And then there's arguments over who's the elder, who's got the rights here, which is the river people, which is the land people, which is this people, it's crazy. Mm-hmm. So no one can agree on anything. And this has all been done deliberately because the white people went in there and they moved them all around and they twisted all their law up. Mm-hmm. They stole all their generations and moved all the people everywhere. So nobody knows what's going on.
And it's that created sort of lack and that need that kind of drives people's egos to misbehave in those settings. Yeah,
exactly, because they think, oh well, I'll be the important one, which means I'll get to control the others and I'll get the paycheck, because that's just the way they think, unfortunately. It's very rare to find people in the Aboriginal community that have still got the connection to the old ways. There's still a few, a lot of them, they just haven't got it. And it's all about, they're locked into this financial economic system, and they think it's real.
Yes. So and that's really effective control method. So it's not like it's their fault, and it's not like we're like criticizing, this is what happens when you live in desperation.
In every country.
Yeah.
Happens in every country. You go to the Africans, go to the Indians, go anywhere. You go to any country where there wasn't a currency, you go to that country, Polynesia, whatever, introduce a currency. And within one generation, these people will not know how to operate without a currency. They won't know how to operate without money. Their whole lives will be based on the exchanging of money.
Wow.
It's like
it's a weapon of mass destruction.
It is, but you've got cultures that never had money before.
Yeah.
That never had any type of currency, and suddenly they become enslaved to it. It's a weird thing. It's like this Kabbalistic program that gets put in people's minds, and then people don't understand how to function without it. And really, money itself is simply a talisman for control. That's all it is. That's what currency is.
And it's a control that's mostly in your mind. If you try to go talk to people, this is like a social experiment you can do and talk to them about how like money is actually valueless. This thing you're holding has like no intrinsic value, right? The only value it holds is all of our delusion that it's valuable. That's the value it holds. And they're just like, no, but it's $20. Like it's $20. And you're like, yeah, but it's like nothing. It's nothing. And people can't grasp it. They don't understand, especially when you start talking about Bitcoin and they're like, well, what is it? Why does it have value? And you're like, it's the same as any money. Like it has value because we said it has value, and that's it. That's the only value it has.
Exactly. It's what we choose to give value to, and that's the way it works. But that's the problem you have trying to reach a lot of the elders in all of this stuff, even trying to find out the real history from of the people. It's just very difficult. Not too many people remember, and not too many people were taught it, unfortunately. They just weren't taught the old ways. But you can find remnants of it. You can find traces of old buildings and old cultures that lived here. Read Sturt's diary. The guy, one of the discoverers of Australia, Sturt went off and did all the exploration. In his diary, he talks about the first meal he had with the Aboriginal people. He sat down and he had a meal of duck and cake.
Wow.
Do these sound like Aboriginal nomads just living off the land,
Yeah.
Duck and cake in a hut. Sat in a hut and ate duck and cake.
Cake definitely takes some long-term established practices.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like Aboriginal nomads were cooking these cakes out there in the desert,
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, I don't know how much time you have to stick around, but I have some fan questions that were submitted to you. So I don't know if you have time and you want.
We go through a few of them.
Okay. So Leslie asks, are there any success stories in Australia in terms of fighting the tyranny?
Look, we've had a little bit of success with 5G in some places, but I tell you, Australia it's a tyrannical place. It's very, very difficult to have success against the system. I think you guys have more success in the United States than what we do here. The successes I've had is because I've never joined the system. I never registered to vote. I never got a credit card. I never got a smartphone, and I just live kind of outside it. But not a lot here. This place is so corrupt, and the legal system is so corrupt, and the police are so corrupt and brutal. They work for the politicians and the corporations. They don't work for the people.
Absolutely.
So I don't know too many people that have had success stories in Australia. The only success stories I think we will have is when it gets bad enough that we can actually form some type of unity amongst the people, and they'll all stand up together, which is what I've been pushing for a long time. But unfortunately, Australians are reasonably apathetic, so it's going to take before it comes to their very backyard before they stand up. In a way, that's what these fires are doing. It's bringing it all to their backyard. So if we can wake enough people up to the fact that this has all been contrived, well, maybe we will see a success story. But I can't really pinpoint one at the moment, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it's really unfortunate that we kind of rely on that major destruction and everything to be like totally horrible before people will step up. But hopefully something will do it. Jennifer Hamilton asks, you have suggested that we give up our smartphones and that we use cash whenever possible. What else, aside from sharing your content, do you suggest we do in a practical sense? I'm going to add one, and it's get a fluoride filter. So you can drink some good water.
Get a fluoride, water filter. I have a great water filter here in the house. That's a good thing to do. Look, using cash and encouraging other people to use cash all the time and not using credit cards is a great thing to do. And even with smartphones, I mean, you can have a smartphone to do your phone calls or whatever, but it's the apps. It's because you're using it for all these apps and these surveillance devices, putting your license on it, and allowing it to track you everywhere you go. These are the problems with smartphones. So, I think you should be using a computer to access the internet if you because, I mean, there's good stuff on the internet. There's good things we can do with it. I'm not a technophobe or anything like that.
Right.
These smart devices are designed to contain your entire life on them and to give police officers quick access to everything about you to find out if you're a person of interest. Once your license gets put on your phone, all they have to do is ask to see your license. They can punch in a code, find out, this person's been posting stuff on Facebook that speaks out against the government. So just you become a person of interest. Just come with us. We're going to have a bit of a chat to you and just give you a bit of a rundown because you're now a person of interest.
Bit of a
and you
chat.
end up in a field camp being reoriented. Mm-hmm. So just because you drove to the shop and you showed them your smartphone, you just come home that day. So, letting people becoming aware of this and not participating in the system, not supporting cashless transactions anywhere you go, not shopping at cashless, tellers in the supermarkets and all this sort of stuff, not paying utility bills with credit cards, just refusing to support this smart system is the best people can do really at the moment, and encouraging other people to do the same. Writing letters to politicians can help, just letting them know how you feel, rallying the community. I often go to council meetings and I'll get up and ask them questions which really completely embarrass them. Mm-hmm. I've had one councillor in tears at a local meeting here once because I asked her to show cause why she shouldn't be held in abusive office. And,
that's awesome.
Things like, just get out there and make a difference and be a shining light in your community. Lead by example. Help everybody around you that you can. Be a joy to be around.
Yes.
That makes so much difference with people. If you're just a wonderful person and people think, wow, and then they start to talk to you and then you give them a little bit of information and they realize that you're this wonderful person because you're awake and you know what's going on in the world and you don't support the government.
Yes.
You support life and humanity. I've reached so many people that way. And even with what I've done on the radio shows, I've reached millions and millions of people. I get emails every day from people saying, you've changed my life, you've changed my perspective. And I've done this now and I've had these massive successes and I don't have any stake in the outcome anymore. And, changing yourself and leading by example is the most important thing anybody can do, I think. I hope I answered that question.
Yes, very well. And amen. I'm totally with you. Like you said, we got to wake as many people up as possible. And you don't do that by being an asshole. So, treating people well and being kind, especially to people who haven't waken up yet, because it's not their fault that they haven't woken up. The system is really, really good at keeping people awake. So we have to give those people as much love as possible. Brett Sailors asks, do you have any updates on Palestine? And do you ever get mistaken for Mick Fleetwood? I don't know who Mick Fleetwood is.
Mick Fleetwood. Yeah, Mick Fleetwood. Fleetwood Mac.
Oh.
People tell me I look like Mick Fleetwood and they tell me I look like Cliff High.
Oh. Oh, you do kind of look like Cliff High. That's interesting. I never thought of it before.
We both got shaved heads and beards, and glasses. So
that's all it takes.
That's really all it takes, yeah. I look like Santa Claus too, apparently. Put a red hat on.
Yes.
But what was the first part? Oh, Palestine.
Palestine.
The situation in Palestine hasn't changed. I mean, it's getting worse. It's getting worse and worse and worse. Mm-hmm. What can I say? It just doesn't change. It just gets worse.
Yeah.
But it's all contrived. The whole thing's contrived. Hamas is an Israeli setup. Every action it performs, it gives Israel another excuse to
That
carry
makes
out weapons
sense.
testing on Gaza.
How did I never think of that before?
Oh, it's an Israeli invention.
Wow.
Everything they do gives Israeli an excuse to cry victim. Gives Israel an excuse to cry victim. The new laws that Trump has brought in, the new anti-Semitism laws, are basically a decree to not defend Palestinian rights.
And this is one thing that anyone who has the delusion that Trump is a good person can look at and see very clearly that he's just a pawn of the system as well.
Oh, absolutely. It's their trump card. He's had everybody sitting down for 3 years waiting for these mass arrests and all this stuff to happen. And he's so embattled and, because he's in there fighting for us. And meanwhile, he's writing all these executive orders. He's sending all this funding to Israel. His daughter's married into Israel and the family.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Basically condemning Palestinians to a life of being non-human. It's crazy. So that's what's going on in Palestine. But as I've said, if we don't heal Palestine, the way of Palestine will be the way of the world. And that's what we're seeing in my country now. Just this slash and burn, scorched earth policy. And Palestine, within another couple of years, Palestine will be unlivable. Gaza will be unlivable because people didn't pay attention, And I've got to the point where I can't put energy into it because it sucks me dry of energy. I've put so much energy into it and I can't heal it. It won't be healed. You won't ever heal the situation in Palestine and Gaza and West Bank until we heal the situation in our own countries.
Yes.
Because the situation in Gaza and West Bank is perpetuated by Western politicians who fund the state to continue carrying out its crimes.
Well said.
Until we withdraw funding and support from these politicians, nothing's going to change in Palestine. So we have to change what's happening on the ground in our own countries. That's the only way we're going to heal the situation in Palestine. I'm
totally with you. It's very wise. Brett Houston asks, what are your thoughts on the black sun?
Don't know. I don't really have a lot of thoughts on it. It seems, I've noticed the sun seems to be setting in a different place.
Yes, I saw that myself. Literally from day to day, it'll move a pretty big distance.
I was driving home the other night. I'm looking at the sun going, why are you there?
Yeah.
You're right in front of me as I'm driving up the valley. You've never been there before.
Right.
You're always behind that hill when you're going down. So why are you here now? It's a little bit further north than what you should be.
Yeah. And I recognize that it moves throughout the year. So we're not stupid. We're just from day to day even. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the axis is shift or something, or the sun is shift position or something. Flat earthers won't let me saying that. We're not allowed to have an axis.
Yeah. Well, you're allowed to think whatever you want here.
We can't discuss anything like this anymore, but it's a weird thing. I was actually sent a photograph from a friend of mine in Spain the other day as well, because there's all these people saying, oh, there's two suns in the sky and all this sort of shit. I don't buy into all this stuff.
No.
People say this stuff. But I was sent a friend of mine sent me a photograph and I said, look at this, Max. Is this three suns? And there was a big sun, and then there was what looked like a little smaller sun, and there was a tiny sun. And I recognise the view from her back porch in Spain. I visit the place all the time, and I know that she's taken this. I can see the prayer flags, and she's going, Max, what's this? And I'm going, okay, well, this is really weird. Because I recognise the view, and it's not some random photo that someone's photoshopped online.
And you trust her, she's not.
Who's just taken it.
Yeah.
A friend of mine who's just taken it from a veranda, so I know she hasn't faked it. She wouldn't know how to Photoshop it.
Right.
So that's an interesting thing. So I don't know. I mean, I looked into the whole Planet X Nibiru thing years ago and all that, and completely discounted that. It's not a reality. But is this a binary system? I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what this system is? But
right.
Some weird things could be happening in the sky, and that could also explain some of the issues we're having here with the weather and stuff as well. I mean, I think a lot of it is control, but it could be part of this as well. So it also could be something to do with the oncoming solar minimum. I just don't really know.
Right.
I really look into all this sort of stuff because I can't prove a lot of it. It's like people arguing over whether the Earth's flat or not. I can't prove it either way. I can't,
right.
And I don't know whether space is real or whether it's liquid. I can't go up there and find out. What are we going to argue about it for? It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't affect me.
Right.
Whatever space is made of, it doesn't affect my path through Earth, through life.
Right.
I don't care what space is made of. It doesn't affect me. It's no interest to me at all.
You and I are on the same page with that.
Yeah.
It's fun to think about, and I'm not opposed to thinking about it or talking about it. But in the end, I don't really care because it's the same to me as any other day.
In the end, I'm not going to take a position and say, well, I believe this. because there's no way I can know or prove any of it. So it's just, I'll take a position and argue with guys who have a different position. What for? It's a complete waste of time. It doesn't affect my journey through life. It doesn't affect my building of my soul, my
Yes.
expression of consciousness. It doesn't affect my journey through the garden, you know.
Right.
So yeah, people need to get a little bit of focus on this sort of stuff and realize what they're wasting their energy on, things, arguing over things that they can't prove either way, and ultimately they don't know. You know, belief is the enemy of knowledge. When people adopt belief systems, they lock themselves off to all this other stuff.
Yes.
So yeah, people need to be careful what they choose to believe. You know, wait till you know something, then you don't have to believe it, because it's just knowledge. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to establish whether it's a truth or not. Like, you don't have to establish the truth of whether you need to breathe.
Yes.
You just do it. You know, it's just a reality. So, you know, belief is the enemy of knowledge. I'm open to all possibilities. You know, I'll look at everything, but I'll believe nothing.
Perfect. Yeah, I love it. We'll do a couple more if you're okay with that. So Steve Mercer asks, if we are to be stewards of the earth, or we are to be stewards of the earth in Steve's belief, but like Passio and Jordan Maxwell say, you have owners. The globalists wish us to own nothing, much less a legacy. What are your thoughts on private ownership?
I share space with stuff. I don't really own it. I'm not here long enough to own anything. But by the same token, I don't allow anyone to own me. I have things, possessions that I share space with that I won't allow other people to take because they're sharing space with me. Do I consider that I own them? Well, they'll be here after I die, a lot of this stuff. You know, a lot of the stuff I've got is made of, you know, this metal box, for example, this will be here after I die. So I can't really own this. Someone else will own it when I'm gone. You know, they'll think they own it.
Yeah.
You know, you can't own the earth either. The earth's been here for billions of years. You know, as soon as you think you own part of it, it actually owns you. Now you can't leave that part. You've got to stay there and worry about it in case someone comes and takes your piece of earth, you know.
Right.
I just don't do ownership. But by the same token, I don't believe in government ownership. I don't believe in socialism. I don't believe that they can own us or own anything either.
Yeah.
You know, the whole concept of this ownership and countries and borders and all this stuff. I'd like to be free to just travel everywhere. I'd like to have this culture in this country of what we build as a people and be able to go over to Indonesia and just visit them there. Don't have to pass through any gates. You just go there and experience their culture,
Yeah.
but not homogenize it, turn it into my culture.
Yeah.
I want to go there and experience these people for what they are, you know. So, you know, it's a weird thing, ownership. I don't really do ownership. I just share space with stuff, and I share space with people, and I don't allow anyone to own me. They may think they do, but they don't. I mean, I'm not part of their system. Sure, I've got to use money and stuff. I'm owned in a certain, I mean, I'm a slave. I admit it. I'm a slave. I'm a debt slave, the same as everybody else.
Yep.
But I try to not be involved in that system as much as possible. And the only thing I have that connects me to the system is a driver's license and car registration, because I don't want to have to deal with brain dead morons every time I try to travel. And I have a bank account and I have a passport. That's it. That's all I have to do with the system. I'm not on the electoral roll. I don't have any utilities in my name. I don't participate in the system anyway at all. I don't have a phone. I don't use a credit card. And I won't back down. And if they come to kill me, well, they'll kill me. I'll probably kill a couple of them first. But, you know, that's just the way it is. I have no stake in the outcome of this journey. I'm just here for the journey. I'm here to experience what I can through the journey. I'm 62 years old now. Because I don't believe in ownership, I don't have any debt. I don't owe anybody anything. Not a cent. I do not owe a cent to anybody.
That must be nice.
So, yeah, I don't understand people with all these bills and mortgages and all this stuff. I mean, I just don't have any of that, because I never thought that I could actually own stuff. And I'm not going to go out and buy all this useless shit that I don't need, you know. And even if I had, like, I've got my place where I live here. I've got an old PA here from when I was in a band, so I've got a great stereo.
That's awesome.
I've got a car. I got an old guitar. I got, you know, furniture. I've got a roof over my head. If I had $1 million, I don't know what I'd do with it. I'd probably buy a new pair of jeans.
Yeah.
Which have got a hole in them. But, you know, I wouldn't know what to do with money if I had it, because there's nothing I want to buy. There's nothing I want to own. That's why when I get extra money, when people, if they support me through donations or whatever, if I get any extra, I'll do stuff like when there was the tsunami in the Philippines, I sent like $5,000 worth of blankets over to them and stuff like
That's
this.
awesome.
And I build water towers for people in the jungle, and I do what I can to help other people if I've got stuff extra, because
Nice.
I just don't need any of it. I just don't need anything. So I don't really do ownership, and it's kind of worked for me. But by the same token, I mean, I've got to be realistic about it. We're in a world where people do own things. Like,
Yeah.
for example, if the guy who owns this property didn't do ownership, I wouldn't be able to live here. So it's all very well for me to be this high and mighty, say I don't do ownership and think I'm cool, which is not what I'm trying to do.
Right.
But it's just the way I've gone in my life, and because I'm a giving person, I think that's why I've landed in this place. I mean, I've just bounced through, and things just unfold for you. I'm a firm believer that if you throw yourself to the wind, you can ride it.
Absolutely.
And everything I've done, I mean, I didn't plan on being here in this place. Well, I was thinking about the other day how I've kind of really landed on my feet. I'm in this unique little private rental in a rainforest, and just because some guy was a fan of the show and offered me this place to live.
How cool.
And he offered it to me for half the price that I'm paying now, and I couldn't accept the price he was offering it to me for, because I would feel guilty taking anything for that price. Please let me give you double what you've asked, Anyway, well, if you want to, but I know you can't really afford it. But I said no, I can't accept a gift this generous.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just kind of worked for me. So I think people need to lose stake in the outcome and realize what they can achieve if they are simply comfortable with being themselves.
Absolutely. It's well said. I just this Christmas had all these people who are like, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I'm like, "Oh, I mean, I don't know if there's anything I want." And they're like, "Well, you have to tell us something because we want to buy you something." And I'm like, "But like, there's nothing that I don't have already that I need or that I want." And it was hard. I had to come up with things to tell people to buy me, and it was so weird and strange and whatever. But I'm kind of in the same place where I think like you can look around you, and there's probably, for most people, probably half of the items they own, they never even interact with or touch or need, and you could get rid of it and you'd be happier and you'd have more space, and someone else would be happy to receive it from you. And it's honestly very freeing to go through and just get rid of stuff. Just get rid of it.
I often do that. If I've got stuff that I haven't used for a while and people come into my house and they pick something up and they're admiring it, I'll often give it to them if I don't, because then they get the pleasure that I got from it.
Yeah. Like you've had it for a while.
I haven't actually used that for ages, and I don't use it, and I can't ever see myself using it. It's just sitting there gathering dust, and you really like it, and you could really use it. So why don't you take it with you? And when I was married, my wife used to get so pissed off at me. Why do you give all your stuff away all the time? No, I'm not using it. What's the point of it sitting there? So yeah, I think it's a good thing to do. I think it's good for people to do that sort of stuff. It's inspiring for people, and it encourages them in their own lives.
And I do think it comes back to you, like you're saying. I think you've kind of manifested this life for yourself by being that type of a person, and things kind of come and go in that sort of flow state that keeps you full of abundance.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like when I had to move out of where I was in Byron Bay, I was living in this place in Byron Bay. I'd been there for about 4 years or 5 years, and we got given 3 months to move. The place got sold. Said you got 3 months. You got to find somewhere else. I went, okay. And then it was 2 weeks left, and I thought, shit, I better maybe look for somewhere to live.
Buckle down.
And so I just put an ad on Facebook and said, need somewhere to live. Has anyone got a room for me? And this guy sent me a private message, and he said, I've got this shed. And I went, a shed, Queensland. Don't know about Queensland. I don't know. I'll think about it, And I came up and I looked in the shed. I opened the sliding door and I looked in. And on the wall over there, I don't know whether you can see, but he's got a mural on the wall. And I'll turn the camera around a little bit. You can see over there. He's got a piece of wallpaper on the wall.
That's beautiful.
And a mural he's painted over on the wall. And in the mural were all these black birds.
Huh.
And I walked in and I opened the door and I walked in and I looked at that wall and I went, oh, it's the Crow House.
Wow.
I'll take it. Straight away. I accepted it because I saw the crows on the wall. I said, oh, it's the Crow House. I'll take it.
Because it's those synchronicities.
I've been here nearly 8 years now, and I've never been happier in anywhere that I've lived in my entire life. I've never been more relaxed, more at home, more felt like I actually had a home, than what I feel here. And he's told me I can have the place for the rest of my life, And I go overseas sometimes. I went overseas for 18 months, and I come back and the place is still here. He won't rent it out to anybody. He doesn't make me pay rent while I'm away.
Wow.
So I can come back and everything's exactly how I left it, all totally looked after. Perhaps one of my friends has come here and stayed for a little while I've been away and looked after the place for me or whatever. I had some people email me and say, "Oh, I need something. Can I?" And I go, "Yeah, off you go. You know, unless it's good with the owner, off you go. You know." So it's just really, really worked out, and all completely synchronistic. All no stake in the outcome. If you throw yourself to the wind, you can ride it. And I've been doing that for the last 15, 20 years. I've just been riding the wind. You know.
What a beautiful thing. I think that's a great lesson for everybody to learn. And I just want to ask you to remind people where they can find more of your work or contact you or kind of be in touch with what you're doing.
You can find everything about me, and you can contact me through my website, which is thecrowhouse.com. That's thecrowhouse.com. Everything's there. There's everything's free. There's no subscriber section. I'd like to have a mailing list, but I've never figured out how to create one. I'm not real good with HTML, and I don't do WordPress, so it's an old clunky HTML website. Over
It's
1,000 pages
beautiful.
on it now.
It's beautiful and very effective structure for not using WordPress, like for just doing HTML. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, thank you, darling. I made every pixel on that site myself.
That's pretty cool.
I only know basic HTML, so I'm trying to struggle my way through it. But it's all there. You'll find links to my Facebook, to my YouTube, to everything. Steam it. It's all there on thecrowhouse.com.
That's perfect. So what are your kind of final thoughts that you want to share with people as we're wrapping things up? Oh no, is this going to be the moment we lost you? Oh, there you are.
Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself through all this. I mean, we're heading for some very, very challenging times.
Yes.
And this is more of a soul test than anything. What we're facing here more than anything is a spiritual battle.
Yes.
You know, and it's the overcoming of fear is the key to the whole thing. You know, I have no fear of this system. I have no fear of these people because I have no stake in the outcome of this experience because I'm only here for a breath.
Yes.
I'm only here for a flash in the pan. So why would I have a stake in the outcome of what the human race does to itself? Why would I have a stake in the outcome of the destruction of this earth or anything? But what I do know is that I can help to make it better through the application of my own self and my own spirituality and my own soul connection to this situation. And that's what we need to do. And that's what I think a lot of this is. It's a soul test. You know, how much will you tolerate it? You know, why does evil exist? Perhaps evil exists because it's there to ask you how much you will tolerate it. How much will you continue to comply with evil in order to avoid death? You know, don't want to be hurt, don't want to be locked up. Death is what you came here to do. Death is the only part of life which is inevitable. How much evil are you prepared to tolerate to try to escape from that which is inevitable?
Yes.
You know, maybe that's where the saying "only the good die young" comes from. You know, I will not tolerate evil. I will not tolerate evil. And I will not stand by in the face of evil. And you know, that's why I live my life the way I do. And if they kill me for it, well, so be it. I came here to die. I'm not going to back down. Yeah, and if people had that attitude and simply called things out for what they are and respected themselves enough to respect other people, they couldn't tolerate this, and we could change the world in a day. And the gecko agrees with me. So
That's awesome.
that's what I think people should be focusing on, you know, the power of themselves and to not be in a state of despair in what we're facing here, to realize that this is simply an opportunity for you to come into your own spiritual power and to stand up and to be counted. That's what all this is about. So let's do it, folks.
And
thanks for having me on, Dial.
Absolutely. Well, one last thing that just you sparked by that is, don't you think that the real fear that people have isn't even necessarily of death or kind of discomfort, but of their own power? Like, don't you think they're just kind of afraid to like let that loose?
Oh yeah, you know, that is the biggest fear of most people. Absolutely. Most people tell you their biggest fear of all is public speaking, which is essentially the same.
Yes,
You know, it's
absolutely.
actually saying what I think and having people listen to it. That is people's biggest fear. A lot of people fear public speaking more than they fear death. And so that's exactly what you're saying, because all public speaking is saying, hey, I have a point I like to make and I actually have some value and I'm valid.
I
It's
matter.
a valid point. I'd like you all to listen. I have value. That's all it is. People are scared of believing that they have value. that's a shocking thing. But thanks for having me on, Darwin. Always
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. So fellow travelers of the path, it is a beautiful thing. This has been your analog, electric, concentric dose of wisdom, according to Max Igan. Max, thank you so much for sharing your time with us tonight.
My pleasure, Darwin. Always a pleasure.
Awesome. I can't wait to have you back again. And you, lovely listener, you have a superpower, and it's called attention. Wherever you put your attention, you transform the world around you. How often are you intentional with your attention? And what types of things do you give your attention to that don't deserve the kind of power from you? What could you create with just a simple shifting in your mind, a simple restructuring of your attention? Start to ask yourself throughout each day, what have I been giving my attention to? What have I been empowering? And do I want to keep empowering that aspect of reality? This is my New Year's resolution, and until we are all attending to only that which serves us, travel well, aim for balance, and always look inside first. Mwah.
It's a one-on-one lesson, so do your homework. Make your dome.
So awesome to have you.
My bones are blessed with
think
all the dirt.
Send me a link when you get it posted up on YouTube.
Thank you so much.
To describe birth.
Have a great
More than one can speak. While the tongue feeds a weak, a sour taste in your mouth, bittersweet. Words can also kill you when you sleep. Mind condition, low frequencies while the subconscious mind listens. I can tell a vision filled with lies disguised as truth. And spread it like the word to the youth. Watch the tube. A place where the God gets booed is sorcery. To recreate the God forgery. There's more than me that meets the eye. Not too many know. Just hear me flow like the eye of Horus Pinio. Yeah, not ready to leave until we believe we're free to go. You hear me, yo?
Sculpted from the ether, the material will eat ya. Stuck on this plane, lanes use jet fuel to greet ya. The dimensional three ain't beating me on top of the fourth. Didn't climb Jacob's ladder to squab with a sword. Forged with ink drizzle, branch down. Try quiet your lamps now. Ascension past the matter, that they slam out they damn mouths. We ain't on land now, but they over understand. Sacrificing wisdom, hoarding dumber, kosher, wicked hands. Putting faith in worthless worship of the mortals. Artificial portals, mass ingestion of the black goo. Bioengineered morsels, conversing with machine elves. Bypassing maggots, they stuck on Android screens. Now I'm scrolling emerald tablets. Moloch living lavish, off the backs of the savage. Them clasp hands at the Sabbath. Smack of energy damage, they done twisted the tongues. With nanotech in the lungs, the awakening's begun. All they really can do is fucking run.